We had the big revenue miss, a larger than expected loss for BlackBerry, even though CEO Chen says he's confident in his turnaround strategy. We turn to Amber Kanwar for more on this. Amber.
Michael, we just spoke with Chen, and as usual, he was all smiles despite that revenue miss. And hardware sales, the number of handsets that they shipped, 800,000, dipping below 1 million for the first time since 2007. But they now have a new partnership with Google. They will be selling BlackBerry phones with an Android device, and with an Android platform, I should say. And that is where we started our conversation with Chen, asking if this is going to be the phone that finally moves the needle on handset sales.
I'm committed in making our phone business profitable, and I think this is going to help a lot.
You sold 800,000 phones in the quarter. That's very low, and you've been launching new phones, the Passport and the Classic. Does that number tell us that those devices are not faring so well?
It's very steady. I mean, it's not very high volume, and that's disappointing, obviously, but it's steady. And you know, the thing that kind of constrained that is the lack of applications. You know, everybody loves our security, everybody loves our privacy, the solid part of the phones, the productivity stuff. Everybody loves that, and people get to it, they really like it. But because of lack of application, people tend to shy away from it at the last moment, and so I need to solve that problem. As I said, I will solve that problem. Now we have the Google Play on.
And so now that Android solves that problem, do you imagine a future where you might discontinue some of those models of BlackBerry phones or abandon your own operating system altogether?
Abandon, probably too strong a word. I'm not going to do that. We have a lot of great customers, like all the governments around, the Canadian government, the U.S. government, and a lot of governments around the world. So abandonment is not going to happen. We pledge support of them. We actually have a new release coming out to enhance the security certification called NIAP. That's going to come in March of 16 for all the BlackBerry 10 phones. Some of the phones will be retired just because of the age of the phone and the designs, but no, I'm not going to just leave it out there. Now, at a certain point in time, I hope that we could improve the security aspects of the Android device to the point that to a customer is clearly a choice, and then they would say, okay, they're all the same security device, security levels, I want more apps, and maybe that's the time that we could switch.
We've been doing this for a lot of quarters now, and I distinctly remember you last quarter telling analysts that your estimates are too low, you're too pessimistic on what BlackBerry can do. But given this quarter and the miss on several metrics like hardware and software revenue, do you still believe that estimates are too low for BlackBerry?
First of all, the hardware miss is a disappointment. It surprised me, honestly speaking. The software did not miss. The software have two components. I know that. The software have two components. One is the licensing component, and the other one is the core software server component. The core software server component grew 33% year over year in license. So that's not a miss at all in whatsoever. Most people expect us to go 20%, we grew 33%. There were no IP licensing deal this past quarter. That was the reason why you might, when you lump the number together, you might think that. But what we're trying to do is to make it more recurring, not just like at one time.
So yes, estimates are too low?
Well, let me provide the following guidance.
Okay.
We expect Q3 revenue to be higher than Q2. And we ask Q4 revenue to be higher than Q3.
What happens after 2016? That's kind of where your guidance has stopped out. Let us know what happens after that.
I like to see the receptivity of the phone before I just come out and say something outrageously regretful. But we are very bullish about the company. We generate cash. We're investing the cash. We bought good technology. We bought a lot of company, all tied to security and privacy, and the phone also. So I'm very comfortable that this company will go good places. The question is, what's the pace?
But the shares really don't reflect that, despite the fact that you've basically achieved every milestone that you've said you're going to. The stock doesn't reflect any value except for cash. At what point do you have to sit back and realize, I need to unlock value perhaps by selling the business at 15? If the stock is below 7, that might be a way to create value where the market is assigning very little right now.
that's certainly part of my job, and certainly something that we think about it a lot. But this seems to be a little drastic. I know people tend to be impatient. My job is to make the company stronger and stronger. I don't think you really sell companies are bought. So as soon as I could show the results and the values, and 15 would be too low. Now the other thing so while we're sitting here today, I mean, I do need to take care of the shareholders. So we are buying back stock. We bought back 6 million shares last quarter. Part of the reason we didn't buy more was not because we didn't think the price was right. It was because we entered into the good technology acquisition. Then we all of a sudden constrained ourselves legally to do that. Yesterday in our board meeting, we got another authorization to buy another 15 million share, 1-5. So the total share outstanding that we could buy is 21 million. And we intend to do that. You
mentioned good technology is the biggest acquisition in BlackBerry's history. Is good profitable?
No, good is not profitable.
Will you change that?
And yes, I will change that. Simple answer.
That is simple. What about acquisitions going forward? Can we expect bigger ones than good? What's out there that you want to buy?
No, I don't have any intention in the short term to buy anything bigger. The reason is I want to make sure that we digest and integrate first before we do that and take advantage of it. So, but we are going to do some tuck-in acquisitions, technology, IoT, something that could help us to move faster on those growth areas.
Lastly, we're hearing reports that Shopify and Google, they're expanding in the Waterloo region. You've been here now for a couple of years. How optimistic or bullish are you on the Waterloo tech scene? Oh,
this is a great place. I was at the University of Waterloo Innovation Summit last week. I mean, I'm very impressed with you're just going around the campus, the young people, and I mean, of course, last week was beautiful weather too. I think this is a great corridor, and I know there's a whole government plan to building the light rail between here and Toronto. I think that's a must. I really believe that's a must because, the transportation in and out of Waterloo is not exactly the easiest. Although the couple of universities here anchor it, it's really nice, but having a fast link, you could really attract a lot more talents.
And Michael, because I know you're such a tech nerd, all you want to know about is the Priv, which
yes.
John Chen told me stands for privacy. Guess what? We got the first exclusive look at that phone. It will be coming up later on today. In addition, got to play around with that keyboard, which doubles as a mouse pad if you touch lightly on top of it. So maybe those BlackBerry users will come back after all. First exclusive, that's coming up later on BNN.
Hey, whoa, bang on. It's called the Priv for privacy? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yes.
All right, Amber.
Priv for privacy, so they're still in their wheelhouse of security.
All right, maybe they hired the guys from Altria to come up with a name like that. Amber Kanwar live on location in Waterloo at headquarters for BlackBerry.